Hey everybody! Hey everybody! Hey everybody! Hey everybody! What is on? My brain wanted to say what was going on and what was going up, and I instantly messed it up. But whatever. I wanted to try something different right now because we are in the middle of the hockey season, so nothing has changed. Boston is still on the outside looking in. That's totally fine. There's 30 games left. A trade happened. Seth Jones went to the Panthers, so the Panthers are loading up again to try and win. But I wanted to talk about the sports video games coming out. I wanted to show you the trailer for the new MLB baseball game because for probably 15 to 20 years, I was a loyal video games sports video games player. I would get it every year. I would get it right when it came out. I would never wait because I never wanted to wait. There's nothing to be spoiled about this game. It's just I wanted, I was a big sports guy, obviously, so I wanted to get right into the action. But the past, probably I'd say 4 to 5 years, I do watch the trailers that come out, and I do make my opinion of if I want to buy the game or not. But the last 4 to 5 years, it's been very stale, and as you all know, I'm trying to get into the video game industry, but I understand the video game industry. I understand you can't add every single little nook and cranny and every idea into a video game depending on the studio. They just don't have the space for every single thing. I get it. But these are the sports video games. So I would hope to have something different every year. Not like major things, but just different things. So that's why I've stopped playing for the past 4 to 5 years, because they just haven't added much. This is a good example. The baseball game is coming out on March 18th, and this might actually be the first sports game that I've played in probably consistently in like 4 years. I've downloaded them when they become free, but then I fizzle out after a year or so because I get bored. I fizzle out after a season in game, so that's like a week of playing it maybe. Just because there's nothing there's nothing new to add. That's why I instantly gripped on to playing College Football 25 because it was different. There was constantly things to do. There was storytelling elements. There was you could actually take a really bad team and turn them to a superstar team. My first franchise, I took the Hawaii 2-star team and made them into a 5-star powerhouse. And it's an extremely fun game because yes, we haven't had it for 10 years, but WWE did the correct thing by not coming out with a game for 2 years because there were so many people who complained about it. When people complained about the Madden franchise that it needs to be fixed, they overhauled the drafting, which is a huge part to especially the video game. It's a huge part to like your storytelling, to your team building, to all of that. And the second they added that, it vastly improved the game. And then they went back to not really adding much to the game. I was going to show this trailer, but I may get in trouble for showing it, and I'd rather not lose my whole podcast just for that. But I would always, if you're obviously a big video game sports player, I would highly suggest watching the game trailers and everything beforehand. And I would love to get to that point of being a streamer and getting the games for free and then telling people either to play it or not play it. But that's the issue. And I do get it from one side of the standpoint that it actually is in their contracts that they can't say anything bad about the game. They can give their critiques, but they can't say anything bad. There's a famous YouTuber that I like watching called 2BC Productions, and he's a huge Leafs fan, which is part of the reason why I like watching him when the Leafs collapse. But he's also a big video game guy, and he did buy the new NHL 25 game, and he instantly regretted it. He may have gotten it for free. I have no idea. I don't think he did because he does give his honest opinion about those video games. Sorry about that. He does give his honest opinion about, especially the NHL games. The NHL game has been extremely lacking for the past few years. The Be a Pro, for anybody who's not familiar with sports video games, Be a Pro mode is basically you get to make your player and like go as that player. Like you get to say you build a left winger, then you're left winger in on the team that drafts you. But there's just nothing else to really do. You get drafted, you play maybe like 5 games in the minors. There's no big draft thing. There's no draft combine. There's just okay, you're gonna play a couple games and we're gonna tell you how you do, and then you're gonna fall into a generic position of 7 or 4 or 10. Like, you don't really get to go. What am I trying to say? You don't get to go undrafted. You don't get to go first overall, and it doesn't really matter how you do in college, or in the whatever it's called. Anyways, what I'm trying to say is there's just not much that you do in the game. Like, right when you get to the NHL, that's kind of it. You just play 82 games, and then the off season comes, and it's like, okay, well, here now you can upgrade your guy, and then you play 82 games, and then the next season comes, and then maybe in a few years you can sign a new contract. If that, like, sometimes they'll just automatically give you a contract, and you're forced to sign it. But if you look at college football, there is so much to do in the off season as Be a Pro and as your franchise. You can sign guys, you can look at different guys, and every player has individual stats, and every player is different. I've moved several guys to different positions because of looking at their stats and realizing, oh, this guy's a better defensive tackle instead of a linebacker. But in hockey, it's become very stale. Like, it's the exact same opening for Be a Pro. It's the exact same, just the exact same for Be a Pro. They haven't touched it. But the wild thing was, for the video that came out that they introduced back in October when the game was first coming out, it showed. It was a 2-minute video. I'm like, oh, that's a little worrisome, but I'm like, okay, I get it. It's a trailer, whatever. Like, that's fine. Majority of that trailer was showing how great it looked, which is fine, but I don't necessarily care how it looks. They're like, oh, the ice is now shiny. You can see yourself in your team in your teammates' helmets. It's like, I don't care about that. It's a little baffling to me that big sports companies like EA and San Diego Studio, mainly EA, but San Diego Studio is the one that makes the baseball games. But EA thinks that we care more about how the game looks than how it produces. Like, yeah, obviously I want the graphics to look like good, but there is other things that I prioritize higher than that. The year prior for NHL 24, they thought, oh, we'll just give people custom rosters. People already do that. It's maybe a couple extra steps, but a majority of people don't really care for custom rosters. And I knew that feature would fizzle out in like a month, and it did, because it was like, oh, you can make your own leagues and you can change your rules and all of that. And it's like, why is that your biggest feature? the biggest features in this trailer, and this trailer is 5 minutes long, as you can see on the bottom there. Yeah, the graphics look the same for the past 5 years, but honestly, that's totally fine with me. It still looks realistic. You can still see the folds in the shirts and the tufts on the grass and whatever. But they added so much to this MLB game. And yeah, there's gonna be people hating, but for me personally, when I'm fighting for a game, when that game is good. Because I've been on both sides of saying this game isn't good or this game is good, and that's for all of the sports games. I just played an NBA 2K25 for like a 2 hour demo because I got to download it and try it. And I actually had a lot of fun, though the gameplay wasn't that great, but they did add some elements. But I think I'm going to buy MLB 25 because I think they added a lot to the game. Um, and I'm happy about that. I'm happy they actually are listening to the fans and adding a bunch of things to the game, and people are still complaining, and people are going to complain. There's just, you can't make everybody happy. But people are still complaining about the graphics. It's like, yes, okay, the graphics, they heard that. But if that's your only complaint, then the game is good. If everything else is great about the game, if they added gameplay elements, if they added franchise elements, if they added Be a Pro elements, all of which they did. But people still have to complain about things, and the studio always listens to the loudest people. I don't understand that they haven't updated the graphics, but if it's a yin and yang of having great graphics versus great gameplay and franchise and all of that stuff, I'd rather have that. I'd rather have a better gaming experience than the game looking great. That's why I never played NHL 25 or NHL 24, because they're like, oh, the lighting is better and there's more presentation. It's like, you made the game look amazing, but it plays like crap. NHL 24 is probably the worst NHL game I've ever played. The AI has absolutely no idea what it's doing. Your teammates just bump into you all the time. They don't understand that you can move, basically. 25, they did say they updated that, and I watched videos of people playing it, and it does show that they updated it. And I will say, I'm not only shitting on the game. There is great elements that they added into NHL 25. They added in improved AI where the AI actually will understand how to do a 2-on-1 breakaway, or will understand I should be here because he's here, and if he passes it to me, then I can come in for the pass. The AI now they added in a thing where your teammate can lift his stick, indicating he's getting off the ice, and instead of passing to him to pass to nobody, basically, you're like, okay, he's getting off the ice, then I'll pass it to somebody else. But there's just certain elements that they added into the game that don't really make much sense. Like, they added in the ditch effort, or whatever it's called. But NHL players don't play like that. There's no last ditch effort. Goalies constantly are jumping on their heads for the easiest saves. I played one game in NHL 24 one time, and the goalie did a desperation save for absolutely no reason, and then the puck was just right there for the opposing team, and I instantly quit the game. I'm like, I'm not playing this if my AI and goalie are going to act like that. And maybe it is better in 25. I personally haven't played it. I just don't like the people. That's why I say there's good elements, and that's why I say there's bad elements. But I can't give my personal opinion on NHL 25 because I haven't played it yet. I don't like the people who say, oh, the game sucks, or the game needs to add this when they haven't played the game. I was in a conversation with a person complaining about the game. This was probably, I think, like for 23 or MLB or something. And they said, "Oh, I haven't played the game." I'm like, "Well, then your opinion is invalid if you haven't tried the product. You can't say a stove doesn't work, and then say, 'Oh, I didn't try it.' It's like, how do you know it doesn't work then?" But counter argument of that is, and specifically, the NHL games have gotten very stale. So I would really hope that they go about fixing that, because like I said before, for the Madden scouting, when they fixed that, before that everybody was going all over Twitter saying fix Madden franchise, and they did. They added a bunch of elements into it. They added a new way to throw the ball. They added a new way to catch the ball. They added in new scouting elements. So I wish, that people would go online and ask EA to fix the NHL franchise and fix the Be a Pro. Like, everything has been the exact same, but the game, of course, wants to focus on on what's it called, the hut where they make all of the money, and there's people who just like for the Call of Duty games and the Valorant games and Fortnite, they spend their money on these cosmetic things. So I can't say it's the studio's fault. If the studio is getting paid money, a lot of money, for cosmetic things that they add into the game, then why would they stop that? If somebody's giving you money for something that's very easy to implement, why would you stop that? So it is a bit of a yin and yang of, people need to stop buying that stuff. There's people out there who, the game is $80, $90, I guess now 100 with tax, and then they'll spend a skin that's $100. It's like, you just spent $200 on a game for the game and a skin, or a stick, or a gun. Like, so it is a bit of both sides needing to do something. But people are passionate about these games. They want improvements, and I personally have been seeing improvements in the MLB 25 game. Yeah, there's probably people who are going to disagree with me, but I've made my own opinion. I've watched the trailers. I've watched the deep dives. I've watched just everything about this game, and and I've concluded that I think it's going to be a good game. Partly why I want to buy it is because I don't really want to wait until October to not buy another NHL game. I have MLB 24, but I got it for free because it was one of the free games that PS PlayStation Plus was having on there, and I didn't really play it that long. But this one seemed like they added in a lot of changes, and I'm very excited to try the game out. I'm waiting and hoping that when NHL comes out, they've actually added changes to it. I think we'll start seeing that stuff around April, I'd say. Maybe a little after, because it does usually come out in October, and they do try and create hype like 3 to 4 months before the game comes out. And that's what they did here. This game isn't coming out until the end of March, but we were getting updates about this like a month or two prior. Maybe actually less. So maybe we won't get updates for NHL. Yeah, but we'll get like news. We'll get like a teaser trailer or like something about the game. They're not just, well, I mean, I guess last year we didn't get updates until like a month before, and we understood why, because there was nothing they added to the game. But yeah, I really hope that things new things get added to the game. But I can play this trailer just to make so that you can form your own opinion. If the video gets flagged, then I'll just cut this part, I guess. I obviously can't have the sound on, I think. Oops. But yeah, like I said, the graphics, they look the same, but like it's not like it's horrible. Like it's not like it's like boxy and foamy and whatnot. They're just talking about that they've added stuff to actually make it look like an MLB game, like a real game. Like the graphics at the beginning of the game have new graphics have been added. um, they'll talk about it. They completely revamped franchise mode or free agency in franchise mode. Where if you've played the game in the past, it's like drafting, where it's a priority system, and some players will want money, some players won't want to play here. Like I watched a video of the developers playing the game, and they were playing as Texas, and obviously Guerrero is a free agent this year. He may not go to free agency, but he is a free agent in the video. And he had a 34% of going to the Rangers, but they said it can vary for any team. Any team every team will have a different interest level. So I'll pause the video right here just to explain some things. So this is exactly like the draft system. You can obviously put your first priority guy here. I guess my face is in the way. But you can put your first priority guy here. They obviously have Guerrero as the first. You can see his what am I trying to say? That was weird. There was somebody's using a buzzsaw. You can see the money that he's demanding, and people are like, "Oh, that's unrealistic. That's a low price." That's the starting price. There will be teams who will offer him more. Like if I saw this price, I'd probably offer him 35, and maybe a team will come in at 37, but you will have no idea. And then it'll also show the FA ranking, and this is a new thing. I mean, most of this is new, but this is a new thing. It's teams that are rumored that he's talking to. That saying, or me, whatever I'm trying to say there. That said, that isn't necessarily the teams that are interested in him. And here you can see the exact same verifying 33%. There's a mystery team. So you look at Bo Bichette, and you say, okay, I'm the Dodger. Or let's say you're the Jays. You're trying to get Bo Bichette back. You see the Pirates, and then you see Washington. You think, okay, the Pirates I could probably beat. Washington is a little tougher, but then there's a mystery team. There's a team that you don't know what they're going to do. You don't know if that's going to be the Dodgers, and they offer him a boatload of money. They offer him, say, 27 million. And you can actually see up at the top here, you only have 38 million to spend. So you only have money to offer one of these two guys. Do you go after Bo Bichette, who may not ask for a lot of money right now, but that mystery team may give him a bunch of money? And also his motivation to sign with you is very low. Currently, in the video that I watched, you can't send an offer to a guy that has lower than 50%. Bo Bichette, it is covered by my face, but it shows 56%. Another thing I forgot is the person that you put into the priority system, their motivation boost goes up. So with Vlad being the priority number 1, he gets plus 6%, which doesn't seem like a lot, but I think that's for motivation to sign and maybe this, but I think it's mainly for motivation to sign. Because currently they can offer Vlad a contract, but 56% isn't that big of a deal. Then, when this happens, you'll be able to see if you got the guy. If this screen pops up, you'll see, okay, great, I got my guy. You'll see how much you've offered him, obviously. And then he'll join your team. But if it showed, it might show later in this. But if it showed, actually, I'll let it play out and let it get to that point. Here you can see, I don't know why I paused it so late, but here these also affect. Let's say you're the Jays again, and let's say you still have Bo Bichette and you're trying to get. I'm trying to think of another shortstop. But it would show it here. It would show, okay, I have, let's say I was the free agency and I would notice this. Be like, okay, I have Bo Bichette as my position competition. That's what I was trying to say. And me as Bo Bichette would be like, I don't want competition at the position. So maybe I'll go to one of my other choices that are more interested in me and maybe giving me less money, but then I don't have a position at the competition. I think you can still get the guy, even if you have competition. I'm gonna say that like 10 more times probably. But the motivation will decrease if you have somebody there. It will increase if nobody's there. It'll also help if this particular player, I don't know if it's the same for everybody, but I would assume it's different. This particular player either wants a contender or you are a contender. I think some players care about you being a contender and some players care about money. So I'll let it continue to play. Here, it shows, okay, he's in priority slot 3. He gets 2%, and this is where that motivation comes into play. Team need, none is selected, but I would assume you would have, I don't know what this guy's position is, but you would have his position selected. And you can switch those out and change them all the time. At the top here, it shows positional needs, and then it shows team needs. So positional, obviously, would be shortstop. Team needs are a little more specific, and maybe I'll talk about it soon enough. But see, motivation decreased. They have Mookie Betts. So either you can still go after this guy and try and get him, or you can trade Mookie Betts, and that not guarantees, but it helps get this guy on your team. You can change those players out constantly. The motivation will also go up the more money you offer them. But you can offer a lowball contract, because there could be players who only have one team interested in them. There could be players that you think only have one team interested in them, but you lowball them a contract. But the issue with lowballing them a contract, or giving them a contract they don't like, or being the first team to give them a contract, there's positives and negatives in everything. If you're the very first team to offer a contract, you will get a boost if they like the contract. If they don't like the contract, then another team can swoop in and take him from you. But yes, this is the other screen of when you offer a person. So their contract decision, they decided to go to another team, and you can see what they signed for. You can, if they don't though, it'll give you still an opportunity to sign that guy. See, in this particular scene, my head is covering it, but it says now or never, basically saying these 3 teams, and it'll show more. It's not always going to just show one team here. It'll show Lane Thompson is rumored to be close to signing with these teams. Do you want to offer a contract? But the positive and negative is, if your board is full, you have to replace Lane Thompson with somebody already on your board. but it gives you all the information here. You can look at your depth chart down here. You can look at the player card. So let's say it is a player that you didn't think would be interested in your team, but you're like, okay, you know what? He fills my positional needs. He's actually interested in my team. He wants a reasonable contract. Yeah, sure. You can also say not interested. If you do that, I would assume the player signs somewhere else. But you can always test your franchise. But I like these factors that they're adding in. This is also an interesting factor. This is a prospect. This is a free agent that doesn't have any other teams offering them. And their motivation to sign, I would assume, varies with every team, but I would assume it's higher than it should because you're the only team that is potentially interested. They will actually come to you and be like, hey, my client fits one of your positional needs. He's got a low contract. This is his ranking. Again, you can look at your depth chart. You can look at your player card. And then you can decide. You can either offer a contract, add him to the big board, or say you're not interested. I like that they're adding in this element because there might be a player that you think is going to get a bunch of offers, but then slips through the cracks, and then they come your way, and you're like, oh, right, okay, this guy. I forgot about Jordan Romano. I forgot that that no teams wanted to offer him. But I'm really appreciative of all of the added, and this isn't a cool small feature, but I like it. It shows when you start adding a bunch of money to a contract, it shows how much available to spend versus your budget after that. So obviously, they have a $40 million contract with an $80 million budget. Afterwards, they're going to only have probably $40 million left. And I know it says different because they're adding some extra numbers. But you can stamp and send the offer and hope it goes their way. And the aberration and all of the more I forget what they said, but just all of the smaller things. The contract's a little bit better. The like I said, they improved the aberration. There's not going to be star prospects in free agency anymore. Maybe I'll just fast forward a little just to, because they're talking about a bunch of things. They brought back new what am I trying to say? That's kind of it of the video. But I am very excited to play this game. I would highly suggest to watch all of the videos, watch the deep dives, because there's a lot of things that they talk about that they don't talk about in the trailer. And they actually play the game firsthand, so you get to see the game played firsthand. Yes, the game is in pre-production because it's not coming out until the 18th. So they still have almost a month before this game is released. But I'm going to go because I desperately need some water. But yeah, just make your own opinion. Don't just be a sports hog. I mean, it's your money, but don't just be a sports hog and buy the game every year and then you don't do one of two things. I hate when people do this as well. They buy a new game, they see all of these cool new features, and then they turn them all off, and then they complain that the game has no new features. It's like, because you turned them all off. I don't get people who do that. If you don't want to play the new features, then don't buy the game at full price and then complain that nothing new is added to the game. But I'm going to end it there. I also wanted to talk about my book just for a second or two. And please, nobody steal my idea. Because I really enjoy writing this book. I'm just going to give you my elevator pitch for it. The book is called Head in the Clouds, and this is my description for it. A world just like yours, but this tale has a love of two kinds, language even Steve Rogers would scoff at, and wild, wild times, mixed into a world of collecting stories, burning and building bridges, and living up to the legacy left behind. Head in the Clouds is the story of young Casey and his fellow companion Emma trying to become newly recruited cloud particle collectors. But ask yourself, can they become a story in history, or will they be forgotten? Or will they be forgotten history? Thrive, survive, and stay curious, my friends. Just gonna move that just so you can't screenshot it. But yeah, I am really enjoying writing my book. I'm now 5 minutes past that I want to do this. But remember, feel awesome, stay awesome, rock on. Peace.